There was a woman who had a 6-year-old son. One day she bought a new mobile phone. When she came home from work, she started cooking dinner and left her phone down on the kitchen table. Her son came into the kitchen and saw the phone. He asked his mother if he could play with it. She told him that he could, as long as he did not call anyone or delete any text messages. Of course, the boy agreed and went off to his bedroom to play with the phone. Around 10 p.m. that night, she went upstairs to tuck in her son and found him fast asleep on his bed. The new cell phone was lying on the ground beside the bed. She picked it up and began browsing through the settings to make sure he had not deleted anything. She noticed some minor changes. He had changed the theme, the background, and had given her a new ringtone. She noticed that he had taken some pictures with the cell phone. She opened the images folder and browsed through them. How cute, she thought. He had been taking pictures of himself. Then she came across the last photo in the folder. When she first saw it, she couldn't quite believe it. Were her eyes playing tricks on her? It was a photograph of her son lying asleep on her bed. But the disturbing thing was what was lurking in the far left corner of the picture. Her heart began to race as she zoomed in on the corner of the picture. There, barely visible in the shadows, was a dark, indistinct figure standing at the foot of the bed. It was hunched over, with what appeared to be long, bony arms dangling by its sides. The figure's face was obscured, but she could just make out the faint glint of 2 eyes staring directly at her son. Panicked, she quickly ran into her son's room, flinging open the door. He was still asleep, curled up in bed, undisturbed. There was no one else there. Trembling, she checked the closet, under the bed, and every corner of the room, but found nothing. Everything seemed normal, except for the chill that clung to the air. She hurried back to the kitchen, her mind spinning. Maybe it was a trick of the light, she thought. Maybe her son had taken a picture of himself while playing, and the image was just distorted. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. She went back to the phone, now desperate for answers. She opened the gallery again, scrolling back to the eerie photo, trying to convince herself it was just a mistake. But this time, when she looked closer, her stomach dropped. The figure had moved. In the new version of the photo, it was now closer to the bed, its face slightly more visible. It wasn't human. Its skin was pale and stretched tight over a gaunt, skeletal frame. Its eyes, black and hollow, seemed to be staring straight into the camera as if aware she was looking. Frantically, she deleted the photo, her hands shaking. She picked up her phone to call the police, but the signal was gone. The screen began to flicker, and strange static noises filled the air. Suddenly, a notification appeared. New photo saved to gallery. Her heart pounded as she opened the gallery again. There was a new picture taken just seconds ago. It was a photo of her, sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her phone with the same dark figure standing right behind her. Before she could scream, the lights in the house flickered and went out. A scream caught in her throat as she dropped the phone, backing away from the table. Her pulse pounded in her ears, and she forced herself to look over her shoulder. The kitchen was empty, just the quiet hum of the refrigerator. But the air felt colder, heavier. She could feel the weight of eyes on her, yet there was no one there. Her son's footsteps echoed softly on the stairs. She turned, startled as he appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. "Mom, are you okay?" he mumbled, his voice thick with sleep. Not wanting to scare him, she swallowed her fear and tried to steady her voice. "Yes, honey. Mommy's just tired." She forced a smile, pulling him close, her heart still racing. She glanced back at the phone, now lying face down on the table. A part of her wanted to ignore it, to pretend that none of this was happening, but she needed answers. "Did you take any pictures in your room tonight?" she asked, trying to keep her tone light. Her son shook his head slowly. "No, Mommy. I was just playing a game." A cold shiver ran down her spine. She tucked him in on the couch in the living room, not wanting him to go back upstairs alone. "Stay here, okay? I'll be right back." She walked back into the kitchen, picked up the phone, and opened the gallery again. Her finger hovered over the latest photo, her stomach churning. She tapped on it. The image opened, and this time it was much clearer. The figure's face was visible now, its hollow eyes, mouth stretched wide in a twisted grin that seemed to grow the longer she looked. But that wasn't the worst part. In its hand, it was holding a small piece of paper, and written on it, scrawled in what looked like smeared ink or blood, was a single word: soon. She stumbled backward, almost dropping the phone. She wanted to run, to scream, to do anything to escape the nightmarish image that seemed to stare back at her. But just as she turned to leave, the screen flickered once more. Another notification. New photo saved to gallery. Her heart raced as she clicked on it. This time, it was a close-up of her front door taken from outside. The door was wide open, as if inviting something or someone inside. In a panicked frenzy, she ran to the door, locking it and checking all the windows, trying to shake the feeling of being watched. Just as she finished, her phone buzzed again. Another message. "I'm here." She froze, dread tightening in her chest. The house was silent. Then, from the top of the stairs, she heard the faintest sound, a slow, deliberate creak like someone shifting their weight. Her son's voice called down, shaky and scared. "Mommy, someone's in my room."